So we are back, and how good is it to be in front of the cameras with you guys again?
It feels like a long time.
Well, because it has been.
I've been in front of the cameras a lot, but not this camera, which is nice.
And
this is nice.
So we're just welcoming everyone back. It is the October edition. We are going through two very fantastic wines this month, which we've been waiting very patiently for. Thank you, guys at the docks.
We have a new world order at the moment. So for those of you who are not running businesses which are importing products, we have major ship shortages.
Yes.
So complexities in shipping. We have champagne shortages because world consumption is huge. And then to top it all off, we had strikes on the docks, which delayed our stock and everybody else's stock. So we are finally unloaded. It is here. It is worth the wait. Kiri, well done.
Thank you.
Another exceptional lineup of wines this month. What are we focusing on? What is our theme?
So, I wanted to highlight a couple of things, and it's the way that champagne is going, right? They've got these two very fascinating movements happening at the same time. We've got the acapella, which is the theme that I'm talking about, acapella versus concerto. Why? Acapella is a single voice, as we know, and making one sound. And what we're looking at is a single producer from a single plot in a single year. So I will classify that as a single sound. And then we've got another producer, which is the concerto, which is looking at multiple years and multiple plots of
within a village.
Another variety, meunier, as opposed to chardonnay, giving this larger sound or an impression coming from one place. So we're going to play them off together and see what they look like.
Now, before we get into the wines, I just want to say welcome to all of our new club members.
Yes.
There are many of you that will be watching this video for the very first time. So, without stating the obvious, this is Kiri, I'm Kyla, we're your hosts. We are so happy to take you on the champagne journey with us. We get off that well-beaten road of champagne and down into the laneways and the back paddocks and choose some exceptional champagnes for you. Everything is imported directly from France for your pleasure, for your entertainment, for your education. Feel free to write to us if you've got any questions, but we really do hope that you enjoy the champagnes as much as the rest of our club members and as much as we do too.
Wonderful.
Okay, so shall we talk about the champagne? Because I'm pretty bloody excited about this.
I'm super excited as well.
I've never had this champagne before. I've had others from the range, but this is a relatively new addition to the Maison. It's only its third release. So we're talking 2012, 2013, the 2014 vintage, which is coming to you. It is 6 years aged in the cellar, so a really good period of time. It's the 2014 vintage from a single parcel. 2014 was quite a juxtaposition of weather. We had a wet winter, we had a dry spring, we had a heat wave in June, but we ended up with quite a good result.
Yeah, one of the great things that they have to do, or one of the hardest things they have to do, when there's all this disease pressure, they have to go through and actually select parcels of fruit which are healthy. And that takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, but the outcome is great. Now, I want to just tap on a real important note here is that the vines for this particular vineyard are very old. They're sort of pushing into that 50 to 60-year-old plus. Now, most of the fruit or champagne that you would have in a non-vintage brut $60 to $80 scenario are pretty young vines. They're sort of anywhere between sort of 10 and 20 to 25 years old. This is really old, so less yield,
higher
more concentration of flavor, and you can see it straight away as soon as we had it. What do you think of this, Carla?
I loved it, but I knew that I would. So this is a grand total of 8,564 bottles, and there's lots of them coming out to you. Every bottle's been hand numbered, so turn your bottle around when it arrives to you and look at your unique bottle. I love this wine. It is a Blanc de Blanc, so Chardonnay. The house is famous for Chardonnay. It's 2014 vintage. It's 6 years in the cellar. It's an extra brut low dosage, but it is supple, round, soft, and so silky smooth on the palate. Vanille, acacia honey, lemon curd, a lot of the classic elements that you would see in a Le-Mesnil location.
And look, for you guys, that some of you have never had champagne on this level before or are really new to grower champagne on this level. And I totally appreciate sometimes we'll throw out, you know, descriptors or sayings, you'd be like, I have no idea what you're talking about. What the hell is acacia honey in wine? It's not the actual honey itself, it's what our impressions are. So these are literally reflections. So for me, for example, I get this maturity of flavor. It feels like an old wine, right? But it's so fresh and so clean, almost airy, that you've got this lovely space in between all the flavors. So you just want another sip and another sip. So I love it. I definitely think that the pairing should be with like a caviar or something.
Decadent.
A little bit decadent, you know, just throw out some cash and get some nice caviar.
They are a super
and
classy
you can have some
producer.
fun with these wines. Yeah.
It's you know, I've always admired the wines. I think this wine in particular is a standout. I'm so glad they're producing it.
Yeah.
As I said, 3rd year in, but it is a knockout. For me, that's my style of champagne.
It's great.
The roundness, the softness, the silkiness, but the presence is so powerful. So the wine that's coming to everybody this month, our Acapella, is really quite a special champagne, and I was thrilled to see this back in the country. This is a custom import for Emperor for you guys. The house is Guy Charlemagne, and Guy Charlemagne is a producer that dates back to 1892. They are a family-owned estate. It's gone from father to son for many, many, many years. They only make wines from using grapes from vineyards that they own.
That's right, a recultant manipulant, or an RM if you look at the
label.
label.
Exactly. Yeah. The house is located in Le-Mesnil-Sur-Oger. Now, for those of you who know Champagne, Le-Mesnil-Sur-Oger is a Grand Cru, so the highest ranking vineyard parcel, located in the Côte de Blanc, or the Coast of White, where we've got some of the purest, chalkiest soils, and that's how they get that Grand Cru rating. It's a very low level of topsoil before you hit the purity of chalk underneath. And we're talking a particular area within
Meunier,
which is a sub-region. We're looking at a Lieu-Dit in this wine, which is super cool. Kiri, what would you describe a Lieu-Dit as?
So, as most of you are Australian, it's easy. It's a single vineyard, right? So a lot of the Australian wine labels in terms over here, this is a single vineyard of X, and that's exactly what they're doing in this particular village of Le-Mesnil-Sur-Oger, or LMSO as I like to sort of shorten it to.
So we've got the wine, the Les Coulmets. It is a single vineyard parcel, so grapes from one parcel and also grapes from 1 year. So we're going to be looking at a vintage wine from the Guy Charlemagne house.
Our next producer for all our connoisseurs, and by the way, lovers, if you do want to check out the next wine, you can just jump on and buy it with your discount. Just saying.
Or you can upgrade, which many of you did this month. And that is awesome for us, because I think when you get both bottles, you get the completeness of the topic.
Correct. I mean, it's how much can you consume? That's the other question.
I think we can do 2
I think a lot of people have caught up with their club wines. But sorry, I will jump straight back into the producer. I divulged there for a minute. The Moussé, they've actually been grape growers since 1750. Wow. These guys know a thing or two about growing grapes, or the family does. But they've only really started their business in 1923 as making their own wines. Yeah. Now, that's quite a long time if you think of the grand scheme of things. Now, we have featured Moussé before. It was the Terre de Lis 2015, and that wine was just incredible. It really showed what vintage Meunier is all about. This time, we've picked another wine for you, which we'll get into in a sec. So Cédric Moussé and his lovely wife Julie sort of head up the team. He is now 3rd generation, I believe, and they make everything Meunier. This is the wine that we're going to be looking at today. Is actually a Blanc de Meunier, so 100%.
Their motto is profondément Meunier, so profoundly Meunier.
Deeply Meunier. But there's also a little play on words. Deeply Meunier, if you look at the logo, which is just here and on the back of the label on the neck, it's actually I think it's an X-ray shot of their vine looking at how deep the roots go for the Pinot Meunier. And he's used that as part of his expression of that variety and also the logo.
And quite unusual for a house to focus on Meunier singularly, you know. And this is a Blanc de Meunier, which is highly unusual. So white wine made exclusively from the Meunier grape. But they're natural in their approach. They're haute valeur. They're largely biodynamic. A lot of care, pride, and passion is taken in the viticulture of the house. So a precision, and I think you see that cleanliness coming through on the wines. But very impressive use of the Meunier grape.
Completely, and they are, you know, these guys are really sought after. Talk about artisanal. They make 6,000 cases a year. You know, it's about how many
36,000 bottles versus 120,000
correct.
on the Guy Charlemagne.
This is literally 4 times the size of that. You know, really small production. What we love about Moussé is their diligence in the vineyard, as we talked about, but also just their overall just energy.
Passion.
These are people that are really excited about what they're doing, and it really shows in the wines. And I think once you see the wine, you'll get that impression. So we're
located in the Vallée de la Marne in
Cuil. So you've got the Marne Valley, which runs the width, if you like, widthways across Champagne. And there are lots of different plots. This is actually along the river, and this is actually inland a little bit in sort of a forest. And they're based on green clay soils, very rare, and also schist. Who gives a shit? Which is a play on words.
I thought he was taking the mickey out of me when he first introduced me to schist soil, but no. It's
basically mixed different types of soil in what looks like a Rice Krispie bubble underneath the earth. So that's sort of what you're getting, and it yields quite powerful, rich, flavored wines.
Aromatic wines.
It brings me great excitement to show you this wine this month. It is Le Vigne de mon village. We're going to practice that together. Le Vigne, the vines, de mon
of my
village, of my village. Yeah, so if you ever get stuck, you'll be like, that Moussé wine, vines of my village, that's the one we're talking about today. So this is a really special wine because it's the only one that's aged under cork.
So let's whip off this bottle for a minute.
That for a second.
You'll see that the neck is different. It has a thicker neck.
It's square.
The clue.
It's square.
It's been aged under a staple and a graft with the cork in the bottle the whole way through. So the first time the wines go in secondary fermentation, whereas this one has been aged under a stainless steel cap and the cork only goes in at the final part of production. And generally we age under cork our special wines. It introduces an oxygenation into the wine at a very early stage. And we only do this for a wine that is special, and it means that every part of that winemaking process must be done by hand, from disgorgement through to the dosage, etc.
Correct. So why is it special? Because it's 100% Meunier, and also that oxidation that Carla's talking about, or oxygenation, really adds this sweetness to it. When you put your nose in the glass, there is this sort of sweet character, but there's a greenness to it as well. It's fresh, it's herbal, it's clean, and the flavor profile is so rich
and
intense,
aromatic.
Lifted. There's almost a little spice to it. This is what Pinot Meunier, 100% Pinot Meunier, should look like from, you know, good production.
And you know, Pinot Meunier for me is elevated aromatic properties, and it can be floral, it can be very rich in dark fruits. We were discussing it before, it's a little bit herbaceous. I had plum and dark fruit, whereas you had more tropical fruits.
I had like
papaya.
Pardon the pun and sounding like a complete wanker. Things like green papaya, aloe, cucumber, all these sort of cool, fresh, sort of fruit, vegetable type things, but really there is a fruitiness to it, and I think that plum sort of sums up quite nice.
Let's make a note of this. There's not any dosage in this wine, so it's a Brut Nature. There's not any added sugar whatsoever. Now, you're talking about a region known as Champagne, which sits on one of the highest northern latitudes in the world. We're talking naturally cool climate, so high acidity, low sugar, so a little dosage helps to balance acidity. There's no added sugar, yet you don't have any bitterness, you don't have any severity in the wine, high acidity whatsoever. It's perfectly poised, it's perfectly round. I think it's so close to perfection, this wine. It really showcases the power of Meunier. Coming back to our topic for this month, we've got single vineyard, single vintage.
Acapella.
We've got our Acapella, and here we have multiple plots from a perpetual reserve, so continuing to put a little bit of each year's wine into a single stainless steel tank to give you your concerto.
Correct.
And it's such a great example of what this village can do. It's a knockout.
I'm just going to zoom in on this for a real quick sec. You can see it is a perpetual blend from 2014 to 2019.
It's sensational.
There's zero dosage, and what he's done is picked the best vines from Quille, from his village, and he's made a blend from them, which is the complete antithesis to the first wine. So what you do get to see, I think, this is probably the best expression of terroir, because you're looking at lots of different plots rather than just one. But as we know, terroir, or I'll sort of recap for our loyal members, but for the newbies as well, what is terroir? Terroir is really a combination of lots of different things. Your soil, the aspect in which the vineyard faces the sun, the slope.
Temperature,
for example, this is south facing in the northern hemisphere. Don't worry, Carla's going to join us in a minute.
I'm so tired.
So south facing on the northern hemisphere means that it gets a lot of sun for Guy Charlemagne, whereas this one has green clay for its soil type. It has the hands of the maker, it has all these different things that make the terroir, this sort of culmination of
giving it a sense of
ingredients and giving it a sense of place, absolutely. So
both awesome, and that's beautiful. I think every time we show this wine to people, there's an overwhelming, ooh, that's a stunner.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in love.
You're in love, I know you're in love. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you enjoyed this month's wines. I did. Thank you, Kiri. Amazing choice. I was really excited to see both of these wines in a lineup this month. To recap this month, we've got a singular voice, an a cappella versus chorus of voices. So we're looking at a concerto. We're looking at a singular plot, Les Coulmets, in the heart of the Côte de Blanc. We're talking a position that's so prestigious. It's right across the road from Salon. It's, Pierre Peters next door to Le Chatillon, one of the most prized parcels in Champagne. So we're talking, Grand Cru, Lieu-Dit, top of the top type of grape going into this champagne.
Did you just say Lieu-Dit?
I did say Lieu-Dit.
Lieu-Dit, this is such an Aussie thing. Lieu-Dit.
I know.
What does that even mean? I imagine that means tip of the top.
Tip of the top. What are you saying in England? I don't know.
You don't want me to repeat what they say.
No, we will not go there. We're going to keep it R-rated for today. Versus the Cédric Moussé wine, which is a Blanc de Meunier. So we've got a Blanc de Blanc, a Blanc de Meunier, and a perpetual reserve of parcels from a singular village, but over multiple years. So a sensational lineup of wines. I love them both. They're both very different, and I enjoyed the complexities and the nuances of both of these wines. We hope you enjoyed them too. Ladies and gents, the world is opening back up for us, which is very exciting.
Yes.
I'm going to just drop a little note that we have booked to head back to Champagne next year, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, our club members, we've already got some bookings, but we're going to open up to club members first. You are welcome to come with us, those of you who haven't been before. And I know there's lots of you who have been before who want to come back again, and we will take you. But newbies, please come with us next year. We'll be opening to the public next week. We are having our annual open day at the Emperor Warehouse too, which is
Champagne
so much
and caviar
fun.
car boot sale. It is a lot of fun. We're holding it on the 27th of November. It's a Saturday. It's at our warehouse.
It's free for club members.
It's free for club members.
Come and drink as much as you want. Meet us, meet our partners. members.
And yeah, and we'll have at least 6 or 7 different producers on board, maybe more. Actually, there'll be a lot more producers, 6 or 7 of our, wine champagne partners. But then it will probably be about 20 different producers.
It's a good day. It's a fun day.
40 different wines. I think you'll all have a good day.
Yes. But thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you being with us in the Emperor Champagne Club. Welcome to all our new club members, and hello to all our loyal and loving existing members. Thank God the wines have arrived, and it won't be long before your next parcel is on its way.
I'm getting them ready for you now. So November's wines will be coming out, going out next week.
Short, sharp, and sweet between our wines this month.
Indeed.
Take care.
See ya.
Are we live?
Well, no, I'm just doing a little run through. Oh. Yeah. That's why I said general gist.
Are we live? I was like,
are we live?
Are we doing this?
Are we out on the radio right now? Are we get a podcast, live podcast? I'm trying not to burp when I'm talking. I'm like,
well, that's great.
Disguising.
Kiri.
This is what happens with champagne, though. Do you get burpy? I get burpy when I drink champagne. I get burpy, I get chatty, get a little bit frisky too. Ooh. Yeah.
Kiri.
What?
Where?
Professionals. Whoever thought that, hey? You've got to have fun. If you're not waking up in the morning and smiling or happy with what's going on in your life,
quit your job.
Something's not right.
Don't quit your job.
It's
not a good
my
idea
goal.
in the middle of COVID. Don't quit your job. Don't quit your job.
I think you hit me up about 3 times. Are the wines there yet? Are the wines there yet? Can we come and film? And I'm like, not yet. Still haven't arrived.
For a couple of weeks.
When it's up and it's up. I'm very sorry.
No Cardi B references.
Why not Cardi B references?
No up, no.
There was one where you were like,
I know.
in between a smile and a frown.
It's a pain to look.
I feel like that some mornings I wake up and I'm like,
That face.
That's the sound I reckon that comes with that face. Okay, I think I got it in my head. Do you want to count me in, or should I just 3, 2, 1 myself?
3, 2, 1.